In ancient Mesopotamia, women enjoyed notable freedoms, especially during the early periods of cultural development. From the Uruk period through the early dynastic period, women had significant rights, including the ability to own businesses, buy and sell land, and initiate divorce. Even though men were considered primary, women found ways to assert their independence. For instance, during the reign of Sargon of Akkad, who chose a female deity as his protector and appointed his daughter Indan as a high priestess, women retained many rights. Similarly, under Hammurabi of Babylon, though the worship of female deities declined, evidence suggests that women still had considerable autonomy. Throughout Mesopotamian history, despite efforts by patriarchal systems to control women's rights, they continued to hold various roles in society. From landowners and business owners to administrators and clergy, women played significant roles. Society was structured into classes, with elite women at the top and slaves at the bottom, while others fell into a category of semi-freedom, often associated with temples. However, with the fall of the Sasanian Empire to the Muslim Arabs in 651 CE, women's rights declined significantly. Some scholars attribute this decline to the rise of patriarchal religious systems, although this claim is debated. Regardless, after 651 CE, there was a noticeable decrease in women's rights in the region, and women in ancient Mesopotamia were classified based on their social status, which determined their roles and rights in society. These classifications ranged from free women of the nobility and clergy to dependent women and female slaves. Despite these distinctions, women were generally subordinate to men, first to their fathers and later to their husbands or sons. Marriage played a central role in the lives of Mesopotamian women. Typically, a woman was expected to marry and bear children while managing household duties. However, there were exceptions, such as the Naditu priestesses of Sippar, who were dedicated to a male deity and performed temple duties. Even these women were expected to marry, though they did not bear children themselves. Unmarried women of marriageable age were referred to as haremtu, which could signify a prostitute or a single woman. These women, like the circus, were often associated with temples and had limited freedom compared to free citizens. Marriage in Mesopotamia was more akin to a business transaction than a romantic union. The marriage contract involved negotiations between families, with the bride's father receiving a bride price and the groom's father providing a dowry. The wife was considered the property of her husband and was expected to obey him completely. Despite the patriarchal nature of Mesopotamian society, women often found ways to assert themselves and maintain autonomy. Their femininity, personality, and character were powerful tools for navigating societal constraints and shaping their own lives. While some periods of Mesopotamian history exhibited greater equality between the sexes, overall, women's status was subject to the whims of tradition and societal norms. And during the Uruk and early dynastic periods, particularly in the Ur III period, evidence suggests significant advancements in women's equality among the Sumerians. In the Uruk period, the development of the cylinder seal allowed women to legally sign contracts and engage in business activities. Urbanization and the emergence of writing also brought about the widespread veneration of female deities. In the early dynastic I period, households were often associated with the patron deity of the city, many of whom were goddesses, granting upper-class women almost equal rights. As food production increased in the early dynastic II period, more opportunities arose for women in various occupations such as artisans, millers, bakers, brewers, and weavers. Textile production, in particular, became closely associated with women. Women's status remained stable or even improved in the early dynastic III period. Notably, Queen Puabi of Yor and Kubaba of Kish are known to have ruled independently, without a male consort. Queen Barag Ernun of Umma also held significant influence alongside her husband during this era. While social mobility was rare, examples like Kubaba, who was once a tavern keeper before becoming queen, demonstrate that it was possible. Women in Mesopotamia held a wide range of occupations outside the home, including roles as artists, artisans, merchants, musicians, and more. And the shift in the status of women during the Akkadian Empire under Sargon the Great is notable, reflecting broader societal changes influenced by a focus on military strength and conquest. Sargon and his successors maintained a highly militarized society, with a standing army that also served as a municipal police force. This emphasis on martial prowess likely contributed to the perception of women as the weaker sex, as military might became increasingly valued. While there are fewer records of women holding prominent positions during this period, It's important to note the scarcity of historical documentation overall. Nevertheless, Sargon himself acknowledged the importance of women in his life, crediting his mother with shaping his destiny and invoking the protection of the goddess Inanna/Ishtar. Additionally, Sargon appointed his daughter, Indiana, as high priestess of Yor, highlighting the continued significance of women in religious roles. Scholars have debated the reasons behind the decline in women's status, with some attributing it to the Semitic nature of the Akkadian Empire, which often regarded males as superior to females. However, it's worth noting that similar shifts in gender dynamics occurred in other ancient civilizations without Semitic influences. Instead, the decline in women's status during this period likely reflects a broader societal shift towards valuing traditionally masculine traits associated with warfare and conquest. Despite these changes, the goddess Inanna continued to be venerated during the Akkadian period, albeit more often in her role as a deity of warfare rather than love and sexuality. And in Babylonian society, the ascendancy of male deities like Marduk marked a decline in the prominence of female deities and a shift in women's status. Under the reign of Hammurabi, known for his famous legal code, female deities were increasingly sidelined in favor of male counterparts. For instance, the goddess Nizaba was replaced by the god Nabu as the patron of writing. Hammurabi's legal code, often referred to as the Code of Hammurabi, contained numerous statutes governing family law, reflecting the societal emphasis on marriage and family. The code regulated women's behavior, particularly in matters of infidelity or abandonment, with severe penalties for transgressions. For example, if a wife was found to be unfaithful, both she and her lover could be bound together and thrown into the river as punishment. Despite these strict regulations, women still held roles outside the home and found opportunities within the patriarchal system. Women continued to engage in various occupations, although their primary role as wives and mothers was emphasized during this period. A similar pattern emerged in Assyrian society, where the god Ashur rose to prominence, almost bordering on monotheism. Despite the dominance of male deities, women played crucial roles as administrators and facilitators of trade. Female administrators oversaw textile production and trade between cities, managing correspondence with merchants and carriers. The Assyrian queen Sammu-rammat, also known as Semiramis in later legend, is renowned for her impressive reign. Another notable figure is Queen Mother Zakutu, who rose from a secondary wife to become the Queen Mother of Esarhaddon, securing her grandson's succession to the throne through a treaty. And in ancient Persia, women enjoyed remarkable equality, especially during the Achaemenid period and beyond. They were not only treated as equals, but were often given preferential treatment. Persian women received equal pay for their work, a concept unheard of in many other ancient societies. They could travel independently, own land and businesses, and even initiate divorce without facing complications. Remarkably, women in the Achaemenid Empire often held supervisory positions, earning higher wages than their male counterparts for managing greater responsibilities. Pregnant women received increased wages, and new mothers were granted additional benefits during the first month after childbirth. What's more, women in the Achaemenid, Parthian, and Sasanian empires were permitted to serve in the military and conduct business on equal terms with men. Some even led men into battle. During the Sasanian period, female dancers, musicians, and storytellers attained celebrity status, reflecting the broader recognition of women's talents and contributions. One influential figure from this period was Queen Ezedot-Shabanu, the wife of Shapur-I, who is believed to have played a significant role in establishing Gunshaper. This cultural center, complete with a teaching hospital and library, served as a testament to the advancements and achievements of Sasanian society. However, the decline of women's status in ancient Mesopotamia followed the fall of the Sasanian Empire to the Muslim Arabs in 651 CE. The conquerors sought to suppress the values of the conquered, which included altering the status of women. This decline was also influenced by the religious shift brought about by the conquest. The Persian goddess Anahita, once widely venerated and providing women with a strong divine image, was supplanted by the supreme male deity, Allah, of Islam. This religious shift, from polytheistic beliefs celebrating the feminine principle to patriarchal monotheism, contributed to the loss of women's equality and status in society. The pattern observed in Mesopotamia is consistent with the broader historical trend, where patriarchal monotheistic belief systems tend to undermine the equality and status of women that were celebrated in earlier polytheistic cultures.